Well, greetings everyone. Welcome to the Apptrepreneur Show. I am your host, Kevin, the Apptrepreneur, and it is an honor and a privilege every day to be spending time with you here on my YouTube channel. This is, after all, your near daily dose of apps, technology, and a little bit of entertainment, and we'll discuss the daily part in 1 second. In fact, we'll probably discuss the daily part now, because some people, and when I say some, I meant 2 people, of course, actually asked me today, like, hey, where's the replays? I mean, like, here's the thing. The new format has gotten a lot of great response. People do seem to really like what I'm doing here. They like that I do a show, they can talk to me every day live, and hey, if they don't want to watch the whole show, they can watch the replays, and the replays actually address a criticism that has been on this channel for a long time, that basically people don't want to watch 10-minute videos. Well, some of these videos are a lot shorter than 10 minutes because they don't need to be that long to appease the algorithm. The podcast, what we're doing right now, is already doing that. So, and they like that, hey, you know what? If I miss the show, the next day I can go and I can watch the replays. But the replays were not here this morning. Now, these 2 people were asking if this meant I was discontinuing them. That is not the answer. I have them aside, but here's the thing. The Apptrepreneur Show might be on a very, very, very small hiatus this week. Very small hiatus. I already know I'm going to be busy on Friday, and thus will not be able to do a show. And I might very well be busy the next couple days. So I've decided to save the replays for yesterday's episode and today's show to sprinkle them throughout the week so that you have daily content coming on this channel. So make sure to ring that bell notification. And also remember to check out the Apptrepreneur vlogs and the Failed Journalist. That's where other content shows. But the podcast might have to take a few days off just for personal reasons. Nothing major. In fact, a lot of good things. So maybe I can even talk about them when we come back on Monday or Tuesday. But, hey Ryan, how you doing? So anyway, that's what's going on this morning. Now then, as usual, the format goes, I will read the news stories. Feel free to comment on anything you want. After each story, I will look through the comments and I will address the ones that are relevant to that topic at that moment. Top comments that are not relevant to the topic will be probably passed over. Those ones you'll have to wait till the end. Otherwise, let us get started with the main topic. And the main topic is actually a bit of a follow-up of something that we discussed yesterday. Oh, and by the way, 2 rideshare related stories. They're not going to be back to back, just letting you know. Anyway, so we talked yesterday about Uber and contact tracing. Now, the teal deer version is basically that Apple and Google were trying to work with the government to create contact tracing for the novel coronavirus. And I expressed my very, very big concerns about contact tracing yesterday's show. I understand why it's there in theory, but unlike the mask, which is not a rights violation, it's a very benign thing you can do to keep people safe, contact tracing has some real long-term negative consequences, especially if after the situation you are currently in to use it is no longer there. Will the government keep using contact tracing? I believe they would. And the idea, of course, is that, you know, with the big network that Apple and Google has, if someone gets COVID-19, the people who have been in contact with that person recently and establishments and everything can be notified someone with COVID-19 recently came into contact with you, get tested. Now, again, admittingly, it's a very effective way to get the information out there. You could probably really, really kick this thing's butt very fast if you implemented this. I fully understand that. However, I've also been alive long enough to see other safety measures that were passed and implemented with good intentions later being used for nefarious purposes, and contact tracing would be one of them. Now, we did discuss how Uber was considering getting into this, and I said yesterday that no, I don't trust Uber with that. I mean, I don't trust Google or Apple either, don't get me wrong, but I really don't trust Uber to be involved with contact tracing. Well, here's the thing. Come to find out, this is from Business Insider, Uber has actually been quietly helping governments with contact tracing for months. This is not a very long article, but it's a very, very important one. So, here's what it says. Uber has been quietly helping health officials around the world with contact tracing, the company told Reuters. The ride-sharing company has built a special portal for health officials to request access to rider and driver data. Uber has provided user data to officials before, for example, with police departments investigating a crime. Officials can ask for data based on passenger names of rides, the idea being that it could help them get in touch with someone who might need to quarantine. Company officials told Reuters the service has been active for months and the company is able to provide relevant data within a few hours of receiving a request. In the first half of 2020, the company received 560 coronavirus-related requests from 29 counties. Out of the 560 requests, 158 came from the U.S. The service was already in the works before the pandemic hit the U.S., Uber told Reuters. Now that is interesting. You have to wonder, what is a company thinking when they are working on contact tracing technology where you can literally trace people and what they do before there's even like a real need to do it on a national or even global level? Like, what were they planning to do with that information before the pandemic hit? I mean, and if anything, this is probably the best thing to happen to Uber, because if this had waited like several months and there was no pandemic, people would have probably been pissed. Like, what are you doing tracing me and tracking me outside of the app? Why are you doing this? But now, hey, it's kind of just accepted. Like, well, we're in a pandemic and I would like to know if I've come in contact with someone with COVID-19. This is what I'm talking about when I worry about what they're doing with that information. So anyway, in 2019, the company started receiving requests from U.S. health officials following a measles outbreak. Okay. Unspecified company executives held a meeting with the Centers for Disease Control and local health officials in Los Angeles in January 2020 to discuss how Uber data could be used for health purposes. The coronavirus was discussed at that meeting. Our timing ended up being beneficial in that it allowed us to get ahead of before COVID started ramping up globally, Uber's chief of global law enforcement, Mike Sullivan, told Reuters. Yeah, except we didn't hear any information about that before. So yeah, this is... I don't know what to say on this one, really. I mean, I guess they were going to always do it. They were just always going to do it. And again, in all fairness, all these companies are tracking you. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, especially Facebook and their shadow profiles. I'm not going to go into what a shadow profile is again, but if you've heard me talk about it before, you know how sinister that is, and you can always, do a Bing or Google search or DuckDuckGo if you want your privacy to be protected. So, yeah, I guess Uber has been giving the information to the government for months now. I don't actually see that it's working per se, but, there you go. Uber is spying on us. And we now know that they're giving our data to the government, and they're not even telling us. They're not being honest. And I think they came forward with this because I think someone discovered it, and they were going to write a negative article about it anyway. And Uber decided to get ahead of the story and word it as a positive. And you know what? People are fearful right now. I will agree. You can get a lot of people to do things that they normally wouldn't do if they are afraid. Which, I know. Ironically, because, I'm telling people to wear the masks, and it's like, well, Kevin, isn't that the whole thing with the mask? It's mask hysteria. It's like, no, because there's plenty of doctors that actually say the masks work. Frankly, I think the contact tracing probably would be even more effective. I just do not like the idea of this technology being out there. And once a pandemic is over, the government always tends to overstep their bounds a little bit. It's like those little microchips that people are getting chipped with. It's like, the whole idea of the chips is like, oh, it can be like a credit card. You clock in and you buy your food, and it's like, it's there to sell you Doritos and Pepsi. And yet, what happens when that becomes norm and, a bank, you need the chips to get into your banks and everything else, and someone decides, hey, you know what, we don't like your opinion, so your chip's going to be deactivated. There's serious problems with these things, and I mean, I'm not going to turn this into a conspiratory channel. I mean, you could go to Uberman Tampa for that if you want, or American Conspiracies or American Theory. He does a conspiracy theory channel, so I'll let him do that. But still, this is worth talking about, and I have to say I am concerned about it. So anyway, I would like to know what you think about this. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What are your thoughts on it? I'd like to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. All right, let's look at some of the comments. So, let's see here. Cinema Fan says, why not just trace every step that I make and that'll solve the pandemic? I mean, well, I did discuss that, and that is like the one bridge I will not go to. I do not want people to literally be tracked every step of the way. I think that has taken away way too many freedoms for what is honestly just a temporary problem. And here's the thing, it would be more temporary if people social distanced, wore their masks, didn't crowd the bars or the beaches. If people were just doing common sense things, this would be an even more temporary problem, but it just keeps dragging on. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I am not in favor of the government tracking people, though. So anyway, let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic is actually, hey, the Comic-Con is going on. San Diego Comic-Con is going on. And, well, that means there's a lot of announcements. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to be doing, like, daily Comic-Con updates. But I thought this was interesting enough that I would talk about it on my channel. Now, just to let you know, I recently showed you some money I was making on Amazon, my Amazon seller account. And I'm also making money on Mercari and eBay. And one of the things that I've been selling quite a bit of is Shaman King graphic novels. I had the entire 32-page series of, it's not 32 books collection of Shaman King by Viz Media. Now, this series was one of the premier titles of Shonen Jump, which was a magazine in America at the time, which is now turned into a digital app, which, by the way, if you like reading comics, it's $2 a month, and you have an abundance of manga you can read. It is truly a great deal. It's digital done right. Well, there's going to be a new Shaman King anime coming out next year, a reboot, if you will. And I had noticed that the Shaman King license had expired with Viz Media. Kodansha USA now owned it. And so I realized, it's probably just a matter of time before we get a re-release, a proper re-release with like the true ending and everything. So I've been selling these books, some as high as $200 a piece, but $50 to $80 is the average I've been selling those Shaman King books. In fact, I even saw someone on Mercari selling like the first 15 books for $100. I bought them and I've already made like $60 back. Now, that value might be going away just a little bit because Comixology and Kodansha have announced that they are going to publish Shaman King digitally on July 28th. So basically in a week. Now, here's the reason that I am concerned about this. This is why we're talking about it on the Apptrepreneur, because we don't really talk about comics much here. And it's like, well, what's this got to do with technology and apps? Well, I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But first, the obligatory reading, Comixology Originals and Kodansha USA Publishing announced on Tuesday they will publish all of Hiroyuki Takei's Shaman King manga series digitally in English on July 28th. Volumes 33, 34, and 35 will appear for the first time in English, along with the first 32 volumes on Amazon's Kindle store and Comixology store, as well as the Amazon Prime, Kindle Limited, and Comixology Unlimited subscription services. Now then, Kodansha USA Publishing said, in the world of Shaman King, shamans possess mysterious powers that allow them to commune with God, spirits, and even the dead. And Manta Oyamada is about to learn all about them, because his class just welcomed a new transfer student, Yo Asakura, a boy from way off in Izumo, and a shaman in training. Now, here's why we're talking about this. Because things like this actually concern me. I love books. And, we're kind of getting used to the point of, when it comes to, let's backtrack and let's go to a streaming service. I like Netflix. And one of the nice things about Netflix is they have original programming. There's stuff that you can only see on Netflix. It's, they have like 13 Reasons Why, House of Cards, Orange is the New Black. But here's the thing, we've always had television stations. And you wanted to watch Friends, you had to watch it on NBC. Hey, you wanted to watch Seventh Heaven, it was on the WB. You want to watch The Simpsons? It's been on Fox pretty much since I was 2 or 3 years old. It's been on there for a very, very long time. And, well, here's the thing. We just kind of accept that kind of exclusivity. But comics and books are supposed to be different. Yes, there are publishers. Penguin Books. You have Random House. You have Hyperion. You have different book publishers, but there's nothing stopping you from buying that book and just reading it. You're buying it from a publisher. One thing that I am not in favor of is limiting literature, and yes, I do consider comics to be a visual literature form. I do not agree with books being exclusive to a service. Now here's the thing. I've already got an issue with this because Comixology is owned by Amazon. I have huge issues with Amazon, although I will say Comixology is the one service that I do subscribe to. I do. But here's the thing. I do like Shaman King. I think this is a good series. By the way, I have noticed the cover is just a little different. It's just a little different. Huh, interesting. Anyway, and so I want a lot of people to read this. And look, if this was going to be going to print, I could understand the series being exclusive digitally to a service. But I get really concerned when we're starting to talk about, like, hey, we've got this piece of literature, and yeah, it's a comic, but whatever, it's still literature, it's reading, and it's not being released in a book form. And in fact, it is being exclusive published to a service. I don't like the idea of that. I mean, what happens if Stephen King has like a new book coming out? And I like reading Stephen King. And someone says, hey, we'll give you this much money to make it exclusive to the Nook. Or we'll give you this much to make it exclusive to Kobo. If you don't have a Kobo or Nook device, or you don't buy your books from them, you have to sign up for that service. Now, granted, with tablets, it's a lot easier. I mean, on my Surface, I can have the Kindle app, the Kobo app, and the Nook app. So maybe it's not that big of a deal in the long run. I do acknowledge that. But I don't like the idea that Amazon is buying an exclusive right to something. I think there should be at least a print version that can be released so that people who do not want to get into the Kindle ecosystem can read Shaman King if they want to. And if this is a success, I could easily see like Viz Media, for example, saying like, hey, you know what, we're not publishing those Dragon Ball books anymore. You got to subscribe to the Shonen Jump digital app to read them. It seems like the world is a terrible place when you deprive people of the opportunity to read things. It's like when libraries remove books from the schools because they don't think 1984 is appropriate for kids, or The Catcher in the Rye. When you start removing books and reading and people's accessibility to that stuff, I think that creates some major cultural problems. Shaman King may just be a manga. It's not even one of the best manga out there, I'll admit. I'm afraid, though, that this will set a precedent if successful. If a bunch of people sign up for Comixology or Amazon Prime on the basis that they want to read Shaman King and finally read the true ending that has eluded U.S. readers for years, what if this experiment succeeds? You could start see Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, all these companies that have a digital footprint with the book industry to start buying up exclusive rights, and maybe not even just to comics. Maybe they will court Stephen King. Hey, Stephen King, your next book, we want exclusive for our device. Hey, J.K. Rowling, that Cormoran Strike series is doing pretty well. We want the 5th book to be exclusive to us. And I know some people say that, hey, book publishers do exclusive things all the time. If you go to Barnes & Noble, Many best-selling books will have a special edition for Barnes & Noble with a new cover and maybe a little bonus section about the history of the book. That's different. That's just a little bit different. That is giving something extra as an incentive to buy from us instead of from them. This is completely cornering the Shaman King fandom market. Now, there is a chance that there will be a physical book at some point, because I have read many manga series on the Crunchyroll manga app and all these things that eventually did get physical releases. They just started out exclusive digitally, and I do believe that once the anime for I made a little mistake there, for Shaman King comes out, I believe that there will be a second opportunity to put this into book form. I just don't like the idea of basically Amazon holding the keys. Like, I would not want just one publisher, well, not even publisher, but like one company where it's like you have to have our device and an account with us to read the works of Charles Dickens or Jane Austen. That, I don't agree with that. I think it's a little dangerous. So this has me a little concerned. I'm not going to lie, a little concerned about this one, but I would like to ask if anyone's still around, because I know this is definitely not what we normally talk about here. Don't worry, next topic is something we normally do talk about. What do you think about this? Do you have an issue with companies like Amazon and Barnes & Noble buying titles to be exclusive for their digital platforms? Or do you take very big issue with that? And do you agree with any of my assessments? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Now let's see what some of the comments say. Let's see here. Ryan's Treasure says, have you ever met J.K. Rowling? Yes, I have met J.K. Rowling. That's where I got the autograph. So, anyway, and Griffith says, the COVID will begin to steadily fade away after November 4th. Well, I hope so. We thought it was going to go away in June or May, and here we are. So, anyway, let me take a sip of this real quick. And with that out of the way, let's talk about main topic number 3. And our third main topic involves Uber and Get raising $100 million as they start to pivot toward the business travel market. It might be important if you are an Uber investor. So, ride-hailing app Get announced Tuesday that it's raised another $100 million from investors, bringing total funding in the company up to more than $750 million. The company, founded in Israel in 2010, said in a press release that it will use the funding to improve its ground travel platform for corporates. Like Uber and Bolt, Get allows people to hail a ride on demand to get them from A to B. Its all-in-one booking platform is available to businesses in Europe and North America. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the company is increasingly keen to sign up large firms with thousands of employees as customers. However, it's not the only one. India's Ola announced a similar Ola for Business offering on Tuesday, while Uber launched Uber for Business in 2014. There are many other firms trying to compete in this space, including Addison, Lee, and Wheelie. Despite the competition, Get said that a third of Fortune 500 have become clients since it launched its corporate travel services in 2010. Customers include the likes of Google and Disney. And by the way, they pointed to the fact that it became operationally profitable in December 2019, and they might be cash flow positive in 2021. So, here's what's important to know about this. And actually, this might be more important if you're an investor in Lyft. These ride-hailing companies know that ride-hailing is not going to be the future. I mean, first of all, the product never made money. Secondly, it's going to be hurt for a long, long time because of this COVID-19 thing. And so they need to start branching out. And you see Uber like buckling up more with the food delivery. You see companies dump the scooter thing. You see Get raising $100 million for business travel, and Uber doing something very similar, as is Ola. These companies need to stop becoming rideshare companies. That's just a fact. They need to do something else as their main bread and butter, because rideshare is in trouble. It's in trouble. It's been in trouble for a very long time, and there's no getting around it. It's not going to change anytime soon. So when you read articles like these, know that these ride-hailing companies in the future, ride-sharing will not be their future. In fact, that might even lead to worse customer service if you are a driver for these companies. And here's the other thing. It kind of shows me that Lyft might be in severe trouble, because Lyft has made very little attempt to branch out and diversify. They are still just doing rideshare, and they've got to be suffering. Like, what's their stock looking like? What's their stock looking like? Okay, I'm surprised. In the last month, Lyft has barely gone down. However, their earnings report are expected on August 5th. We are going to see if that will make a difference in all this, because it's going to be a bloodbath when those earnings are reported. Because they didn't have anything to fall back on. And I think Lyft might be in real trouble. I think the stories we read about how Uber, Get, Ola, DoorDash, all these companies are investing in other businesses, or they're merging, because rideshare is not going to pull anyone out of the hole that they're in. And in fact, rideshare might be severely threatened for a very, very long time because of fears of contracting COVID-19. But anyway, I do want to know what you think about this. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I'd love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. All right, so let's see some of these articles. So Ryan says, and I guess this was in reference to the Amazon story we did. Yes, since I personally really like to have physical copies of my favorite books, digital is convenient, but as you said, you don't own it digitally, you just rent it. All right, now then, let's talk about our next main topic. I actually forgot what number we're on. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on main topic number 4. And our fourth main topic, this is going to be kind of like a little bit of an editorial / rant. It kind of is. Because a few days ago, I said with great sorrow that Tenet has been delayed. And I really, really want to see Tenet. I'm tired of seeing the cases go up. I'm tired of seeing people dying. But kind of the way that I joke about it is whenever I see cases rising and people not doing what they're supposed to be, I would look at them and say, well, I guess I'm not seeing Tenet in July. And sure enough, I'm not. And then it turned into, well, I guess I'm not seeing Tenet in August. Although, in all fairness, I think Tenet's delay was also hurt by the fact that China is imposing a 2-hour limit, and Tenet is more than 2 hours. So they've basically got to figure out what to do with the film, because Christopher Nolan will probably not want to cut it. But with that said, the movie theaters have been closed since March for the most part. And I live in California, so yeah, we're kind of still on lockdown and everything, but there's a lot of places where theaters can reopen, and the mom and pop businesses have been reopening. Drive-in theaters have done extremely well. They've done extremely well and have made a huge comeback. And now we have to start asking the question, what are we going to do? Because the perfect date to reopen the movie theaters may never arrive. So this article came out last week, and I was going to do a discussion on it a week ago, but I think we'll do it now, where it says, B. Riley FBR analyst Eric Wold in a Wednesday report lowered his stock price targets for movie theater operators and projected that the 2021 box office would fall about 20% below 2019 levels. I don't know why when we'd be reopening, but whatever. When the domestic haul reached $11.4 billion and global revenue hit $42.5 billion following the novel coronavirus pandemic. Because 2020 would account for 2020. Okay, that's why. He also argued that a gradual opening of cinemas starting in markets where that's possible could bolster sentiment amid investors. Wold, I keep wanting to say world. Wold cut his stock price target on AMC theaters from $5 to $4, which it currently is. I own 100 shares of it. And Cinemark Holdings from 16 to 14, which it's just a little under. I have stock in all these companies, by the way. and IMAX Corp's from 19 to 18. That would be great because I've been buying IMAX stock at $10. With his target on cinema advertising firm, National Cinemedia, dropping from 6 to 4.50. The analyst in his report highlighted that he has in recent months expressed concerns around a state of flux for the second half of 2020 films release calendar and the inability of major exhibition chains to reopen theaters profitably without new film content. Now, here's what I need to tell Pete. Now, here's where I'm starting to get into a rant. Because there's been questions like, the movie theaters need to reopen, but they don't have any new content to reopen. They don't have new movies. They just have old movies, so they can't reopen. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Here's why. I've been going to the drive-in theater, and I've been watching, granted, newer movies, but I've seen some retro films too. And here's the thing. Drive-in theaters are doing very, very well. Some of the mom-and-pop theaters that have reopened, they're doing pretty well too, and all they have is old content. They have Back to the Future. They have Indiana Jones. They had Jaws. Everyone seems to be playing Jaws. I wonder if it's because it's resonating with people how hey, there's a real danger in the water and people could avoid that danger if they just practice some common sense and don't go into the water. Kind of like how you... Never mind. I just think Jaws is especially timely right now. But here's the thing. These theaters are doing moderately well with old releases. And so I think these theaters need to realize, people are tired of being cooped up. They will see old movies in theaters. It's just something to do. So start reopening the theaters that you can. Also, I think the movie studios need to kind of start realizing that, it's not going to be normal for a while. And you have to start thinking differently about how to release your movies. In fact, as NATO pointed out, there's oops, that's the wrong article. Sorry. Oh, shoot. I don't have that article. I accidentally closed it. Darn it. Anyway, as the, I think I know why I closed it, because it had a very similar headline, and I thought it was redundant. There's 75% of the movie theaters that are open. Now, the reason, Disney and Warner Brothers and Paramount want to keep delaying Tenet and Mulan is because California is closed, New York is closed, Texas is closed, Florida is closed, and these are their biggest markets. And look, I understand that. You don't want to give up your biggest markets. But here's the other thing. There are 46 states that do have theaters open. Are you going to say that these 4 markets are more important than those 46 states combined? Are you seriously going to say that? Now, one of the things that they're saying is, we're worried about piracy. We're worried about spoilers. We're worried about that if people get the movie spoiled, they will not go. Let me tell you something. When I was on Facebook, we had a friend, and a lot of people blocked this friend over it. He went to see Avengers Endgame, spoiled something that happened. He said, Thanos dies in the first 10 minutes. Sorry, spoiler if you haven't seen that movie yet. And a lot of people, unfriended him, and they blocked him. They all went to see the movie. I don't think spoilers are quite the death toll as these studios would like to think. And for that matter, if you don't want spoilers, you just stay off Facebook and Twitter for a while, and maybe you should be doing that anyway. But Warner Brothers did say when they delayed Tenet that a new release would be imminently, and that it would have a unique strategy. I think they're realizing, hey, we're at this point in time where it's we can't just do business as usual. We can't just do business as usual. We can't do it where everyone gets the movie on the same day. We can't do it where, we're going to put it on digital in 3 months. I think they're going to have to do market releases. We're going to release it in these markets. These markets are open, so we will release it during this time period. And when other markets open, we will open those markets. Some of those markets that are open now might be closed in a few months, so you might actually have to, roll the movie around. You're going to have it be in theaters a lot longer. It can't be coming out in digital and Blu-ray in 3 months. You're going to have to make that absolutely clear. This is off the home viewing market for a year, and have it be like a roadshow movie, something like that. But the theaters are going to have to think about something. There's no perfect day that's going to arrive. And look, here's the thing. I don't mind if other states see Tenet before I do. I will see Tenet in an IMAX theater when it comes to my area. I will do that because I like the theaters, and I think people who really love the theaters and want to do things, they will still take that chance. Heck, The Hunt, which isn't even a good movie, has been playing in drive-in theaters for months. 4 months at this point. It's not even good, but it's something that's semi-new, so you can just go see it in the drive-in theaters. And so I think the theaters have to start making some tough calls. I think the movie studios have to start thinking outside the box. I think they're just going to have to realize, you know what? The way we used to do things isn't coming back for a while. We need to think of something new to do. But anyway, what do you think about it? Do you think theaters should do like a little bit of a rollout release, or do you think they should just wait until everyone can open at once? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Now then, let me look at the comments real quick because you know what? I got a notification. I have to cut the show short today. I have to cut it short today. Let's see here. Texas Made, I told you about the chip in hand, the chip party. Now all of a sudden you believe it is to be used socially for control purposes. Texas Made, I was always aware of the chip party. I told you that I did not agree with it. And I said that most people, which holds true by the way, do not like it. I said that would probably not become the main thing because people do not want chips inserted. Now, some people do that, but here's the thing. These chip-ins have been around for more than 10 years. So, there you go. Anyway, Cinema Fan says, at this point, movie theaters should just reopen and stay open. As long as people wear their mask, people should be fine. It's safer than going to a 7-Eleven. Well, yeah, that's one of the debates, though. It's like, well, if everyone does these things, it should be safe. But will people do that? I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah. So, anyway. So, Ed says, Uber caught informing 26 countries of Uber riders with COVID-19. Yep, that they did. We talked about that at the beginning. And Ryan says, I agree that they shouldn't be kept waiting forever. Okay, so anyway, folks, I did have 2 more stories, but again, we're going to have to cut this short, which means almost certainly there might be a new show tomorrow. It might be a shorter show, but there will be a show tomorrow. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Hey, if you haven't given it a like yet, please do. I'd really appreciate that. Comment below. And at the very least, we will have the replays over the next few weeks. So, thank you for spending time with me. Take care out there and flame responsibly.